Hey everyone, ELD here, ready to talk about some more M21 spoilers. Of course, if you're interested in pre-ordering any of these products, you can head over to ELD's Time Vault Games and place a pre-order. I know a lot of you guys who check out the channel are not in the area. If you want to support the store, that is a way to do it. And we're going to kick things out here with Eliminate. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana costs 3 or less at instant speed. This is an upgraded reprint of Smother, a card that was very good in Standard back in Onslaught block. This could be a really solid card. The fact that it kills Narset, Baby Teferi, whole tons of creatures that are under 3 mana. Of course, the Lilianas. There's been a creeping in of 3 mana planeswalkers, which makes this an interesting card. Don't be surprised if this one sees some play. Up next, we have a card that's been spoiled in Korean. Stormwing Presence is the working title. Of course, the translations will come out in the next few days, I'm sure. This spell costs 2 and a blue less to cast if you have an instant or sorcery. If you played an instant or sorcery this turn, taking us from 5 mana down to 2, flying and prowess, and when it enters the battlefield, scry 2. This would have seen play for sure if you've played a spell this turn. Instant or sorcery does stop it from going after the mana fixing rocks like Mox Diamond, Chrome Mox, that type of stuff that's seen play in Skies style Sea Stompy decks in Legacy. It's an interesting card, good stats, not really worth jumping through hoops for. 2 mana for your 3/3 flyer. I mean, it's fine. I think it's a very interesting card. I wouldn't be shocked if it finds a home, but I don't think you necessarily want to be manamorphosing into something like this. If you're going to try and set up a combo, you probably want it to do more than just get a 3/3 attacker out. Super fun casual card. You can guess what this does just from looking at it. It's going to have to do with +1/+1 counters. Surprise Growth Spurt is what they're calling it for now. An instant that puts a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then double the number of +1/+1 counters on that creature. Doubling counters is an awful lot of fun. I've got some Hydra decks that I've shown to some beginning players that absolutely fall in love with the mechanic. It's a really cool thing to see that just incredible power burst that happens over multiple doublings. It's just not that intuitive. You double something 6 times and it's difficult to even conceptualize what that looks like. You have to do the math. That's how powerful it is. And doubling is one of the more fun things that you can do. I remember I had a Krenko commander deck that I had thrown together and literally had to build out Excel spreadsheets just to process, because you'd end up with like 2 million goblins over the course of a few turns just because of multiple tapping and untapping. So, you got 10 goblins, you double it a couple of times, and then all of a sudden, you're doubling that and doubling that. I mean, you're just off to the races. So fun effect. Not super easy to continue using this, like say a Hero's Bane, but interesting card. Probably not worth the mana, but in a Hydra themed deck, I mean, you're going for flavor anyways. You're going to be playing this card. Another big casting cost here, 12 mana. We got a cost reducer, which is X less, where X is the total power of creatures you control, and it does 6 damage to up to 2 creatures or planeswalkers. A little bit of a front-running card. If it was damage equal to the total number of creatures on board, it'd be a very different thing. As it is, you're essentially paying 2 mana to take out 2 creatures or planeswalkers, which is possibly fine in some commander decks. We already have cards that kill multiple creatures. Things like Reckless Spite, 3 mana instance. So at 2 mana, if you've got a bunch of creatures on board, you have the power. It's certainly a bargain, but not the most exciting card. Ooh. Idol of Endurance. This is a pretty fun, interesting build-around card. When it enters the battlefield, you exile all creature cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard until it leaves the battlefield, and then you can pay 2 mana and tap it, and until end of turn, you can cast a creature spell from those exiled cards without paying the mana cost. I mean, that's some fun stuff right there. I could definitely see that seeing some play in Commander, and I mean, it's a little much to try and picture what that could look like in Constructed, but certainly for Commander, being able to get double use out of all sorts of different ETB creatures, things like Snapcaster Mage, could be some fun. Village Rites, this is the card that I was excited about, that I wanted to do the video because of. This card, I think, slots into Zubera Storm. I got to try it, but for only 1 black mana, sack a creature, draw 2 cards. I mean, that seems like a bargain to me. There's definitely times in Zubera Storm where you start going and you've got tons of extra black mana kicking around, and the ability to just draw a couple of extra cards. Also, it's an additional sack outlet to get the ball rolling. I don't know. I'm going to try it out over Brainstorm. Brainstorm in the deck is just not as good as it could be with more shuffle effects, so just bulk card advantage could be it. I mean, 1 black mana, I think Pauper players are going to be excited to brew with this card, and I'm sure it's going to find a home in some type of decks that really abuse both the card advantage and get utility out of sacrificing the creature. Heroic Intervention. It's a little tough of a reprint. I mean, the card was worth a ton. I was thinking that I probably could see this in the Commander products they were going to do this year for green. I had actually gone over to my sorted inventory to check how many I had. I was like, oh, I only have 1 copy. That's not too bad. Then I checked the collections that I bought recently and haven't been sorted. There's another 10 copies there. So this is going to be a hit for anybody that's held on to Heroic Intervention or paid that top dollar price. It is a card that a lot of Commander decks are excited to play. It sees play in Modern. It does an awful lot. And this is a reprint that makes a lot of sense in terms of Wizards cashing in on the value of the secondary market. They do need to sell packs, and this is the type of thing which shouldn't really be shocking to anyone. Wizards is going to take a look at that low-hanging fruit, and hopefully, I mean, the only real major blowout situation with reprints is when the values plummet and then people aren't even excited to open it anymore. That's where I think where it's really kind of a blowout. If you're going to tank a existing card and it's going to make people no longer excited to open the packs because the value has dropped so much, that is brutal. So hopefully this doesn't drop too much. When we open it in a month, we'll still be excited about it. When we open it in 2 or 3 months, it'll still be an exciting card. It's just when those reprints really devalue and aren't even exciting to open, that's when it's kind of a real blowout. Lore Scale Coatl. Just included that one because it's a fun reprint that I've tried playing before. The ability to put +1/+1 counters on it whenever you draw a card could become more interesting with Mutate, though, I mean, it's a big investment. Even in, when I played it in Legacy with cards like Brainstorm, to be able to put a ton of counters on it right away. Creatures aren't the hardest thing in the world to deal with, and 3 mana is not an insignificant investment. So we'll see if it sees some play. It'd be nice if it actually got shuffled up. I think it's a really cool card. It wants you to build around it, but so far hasn't been good enough. But perhaps some fresh eyes will try with these new cards and see if there's any way of making that work. Fabled Passage. This is a interesting reprint. So it's in a set that is currently standard legal. You're going to be able to get from either Throne of Eldraine or Core 21 Fabled Passage. It's pretty aggro, and I'm not loving it. Like, you can literally buy Throne of Eldraine packs right now, so I feel like this is just going to tank the price of this card, and we'll see. Maybe it needs to be out there in incredibly high levels. I don't really have a problem with cards being worth money. I think it should be worth it to open and buy booster boxes. The fact that so often booster boxes are being sold at a loss from stores, I don't think is a sustainable trend. And when you take a look, I mean, there's been times where you go on eBay and you see people fire selling boxes after fees and shipping. They're hemorrhaging money, and I don't think that's a great look for the game. Maybe those are just foolish actors, but they're trying to get the product out there and they're not profiting while doing it. And if there's no profit, it's not going to be able to endure in that way. So these type of reprints make me a little bit nervous. Like I said, you can just buy a pack of Throne of Eldraine, or, this is just going to be buying packs of M21 and trying to find it. We'll see what happens with the price. I also don't love it when people invest in cards and then are wiped out. I think you have to worry about the people that play the game and the people that don't play the game yet. And I'm not sure if they're treading carefully enough with this reprint. The temples, all of the enemy temples, not super exciting for me as a Eternal player. Some people play these in Commander. Certainly lower tier Commander decks can go ahead and run those. I don't personally enjoy playing a land coming into play tapped. I'll play my revised dual lands and actually be able to play Magic that turn. But this is I think it's introducing them into Standard, right? They were already in Pioneer, so I guess they're introducing them into Standard. This mountain, super on the nose. I mean, yeah, I'll probably sleeve up burn with these mountains for Pauper. Like that's hilarious art. It's like, this reminds me of like Paulo Parente art or a few of the early Magic artists, which just have this certain style which is out of place in many places. Like this is really gaudy and on the nose and perfect for like your first burn deck. So I actually enjoy this. It is really something. Cultivate. This is an interesting reprint. I'm not sure what this means with it being rare. I don't know if it's because it's the alternate version. I'd imagine it has to be. But they did put a gold symbol on there, which is interesting. And it's nice looking. Like, it's not exactly my cup of tea, but it's certainly going to appeal to a lot of players, and it's a much needed card for Commander. The ramp ability in Commander, because you always have access to your Commander, is super important. You're never going to be in a situation where you don't have something to do. So, for those who are familiar with Commander, of course, your mana rocks, your acceleration like Cultivate, rampant growth style effects, very, very powerful in that format in a really unique way that you don't see in other formats. Solemn Simulacrum. Speaking of ramp, here is a new version. This is a card that has had so many different looks. I personally miss the invitational art. I like it when they have that story, but I guess since they don't do the invitational anymore, it doesn't really mean anything to non-dinosaurs like myself. But I mean, I personally love the idea that you can have your face on a Magic card. I thought that was a really cool thing for people that are involved in the community and playing at a high level to have that as a feather in their cap. And here we have kind of a Robocop-ish action figure looking Solemn Simulacrum, no face. But he does heavy lifting. This card's been good enough for Vintage in the past, and this is a really solid card overall. Drawing cards, ramping. This is a tiny baby Euro. Pursued Whale. I mean, this is a fun card for Commander. 7 casting cost, 8/8, gives everybody a 1/1 red pirate, and this creature can't block, and also creatures you control attack each combat if able. So just sets everybody at the table to Berserker mode. Everybody has to be attacking with all of their stuff if they can, and nobody's going to be blocking those pirates unless there's politics, which is part of the fun of Commander. So very interesting for perhaps a slightly evil group hug deck to be able to give everybody a 1/1 with a little bit of a twist. Gadrick, the Crown Scourge, a 3-mana 5/4 with flying is powerful stats, and it can't attack unless you control 4 or more artifacts. However, at the beginning of your end step, you create a treasure for each non-token creature that died this turn. In formats that have lots and lots of artifacts available to them, such as Commander, this could be interesting. First thought when I see a card like this is questioning what it would look like in Vintage. And, right now, just a vanilla 5/4 for 3, not where you want to be. There's no decks that are going to be happy to just have a 5/4 flyer for that type of mana cost. But in years past, it's possible this could have seen play in a mono-red kind of aggro workshop deck, though 3 is an awful lot of non-workshop mana. Jolrael Mulwani Recluse. So this is a reprint of a legendary creature last seen in Prophecy. Beautiful art on the Prophecy card, and that continues on with this remix of her abilities. Possibly going to be a playable commander for 2 mana. Whenever you draw your second card, you create a cat, and when you pay 6 until end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. We'll see. I mean, it's not the easiest thing in the world to get a crazy amount of cards in your hand, and if you do, you're usually going to win anyways. But this is a really interesting card. Cat Tribal, just bringing on tons of Panthers, is a pretty fun concept, and I'm sure people will have fun with this card. Did we go all the way through? I think we did. All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. This one was a little quicker than I expected, getting through these new cards. Let me know which one you're the most excited about. I am definitely going to be playing Village Rites proxied up for now in my Pauper Zubera Storm and see what kind of heavy lifting it can do. Until next time, thanks for watching. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.